The Tale of Princess Kaguya. Once upon a time, in a small village deep in the mountains, there lived a young couple. The husband was a woodcutter, and the wife kept the home. Together, they led a quiet and happy life. However, there was one wish they could not fulfill. They longed to have a child. One day, while the husband was cutting wood in the mountains, he noticed something glowing. It was a bamboo shoot that shone as if it were bathed in moonlight. Driven by curiosity, the husband cut the bamboo and took it home. Upon seeing the bamboo, the wife felt something special about it. That night, the couple decided to split the bamboo. To their astonishment, a tiny girl emerged from within. She was as beautiful as if touched by moonlight, and the couple was filled with surprise and joy. "My name is Kaguya, she said. The couple decided to raise her with love and care. As the days passed, Kaguya grew into a beautiful young girl. She loved singing, playing music, and spending time in nature. The villagers were captivated by her beauty, and people often gathered around her. However, Kaguya was a bit of a special being. She always seemed to be gazing into the distance, as if recalling something from the past. One evening, when the moon was full and shining brightly, Kaguya sat on a moon viewing platform in the garden. She looked up at the moon, as though enveloped by its light. Suddenly, she began to weep. The couple, concerned, asked her what was wrong. Kaguya answered quietly, "I come from the kingdom of the moon. It is my fate to return there one day." The couple was overwhelmed with sadness, but Kaguya smiled at them and said, "The time I have spent here has been precious to me. The memories of being with you will remain in my heart forever." Kaguya continued to live happily in the village. However, as time went on, her beauty and talents attracted many suitors. Brave samurai, wise scholars, and noble princes came seeking her hand in marriage. But Kaguya never opened her heart to anyone. In her heart, the path to the Moon Kingdom always existed. Soon, the day came when the full moon was once again approaching. Kaguya stood once more on the moon viewing platform to say her final goodbyes to the villagers. She quietly expressed her gratitude to everyone. "Thank you for loving me. The days I spent with all of you are my treasures." Then, the moonlight enveloped her, and it seemed as if the stars were dancing for her. The villagers watched in awe and wonder. Kaguya slowly rose into the sky, returning to the Moon Kingdom. The sight of her ascent was deeply etched in the hearts of the villagers. Her beauty, kindness, and love remained forever in their memories. As time passed, the couple grew old, but they never forgot Kaguya. They would look up at the night sky, gazing at the moon, wishing for her happiness. And with the memories of her in their hearts, they lived peaceful days. The villagers, too, passed down the legend of Kaguya, and her story of love was shared across generations. Every time the moonlight bathed the earth, they remembered her smile and drifted into peaceful dreams, warmed by the memory of her. And so, the tale of Kaguya continued to shine in the hearts of the people, forever coloring their dreams. Good night. Momotaro, the Peach Boy. Once upon a time, in a quiet little village, there lived an old couple. They were very kind and loving, and they spent their days happily together. However, deep in their hearts, they always longed for a child of their own. One day, while the old woman was washing clothes by the river, something strange happened. Floating down the gentle stream was a large, round fruit, as big as a peach. The old woman was surprised and curious, so she pulled the peach from the water. It was warm to the touch and glowed softly under the sunlight. Excited, she brought the peach home to her husband. "Let's eat this after dinner," she said, smiling. The old man agreed, wondering how such a marvelous fruit had come to them. That evening, as they cut the peach open, a bright light filled the room. To their astonishment, a little boy appeared from inside. He looked up at them and said, "My name is Momotaro. Please take care of me." Overjoyed, the old couple shed tears of happiness. They lovingly raised Momotaro as their own child. As the years passed, he grew into a strong and kind young boy. The villagers adored him, and his cheerful smile brought happiness to everyone. But one day, trouble came to the village. Far away on a distant island, fearsome demons known as Oni had begun attacking the village, stealing treasures, and causing harm. Momotaro could not stand by and watch. With determination in his heart, he declared, "I will defeat the Oni and bring peace to our village." Though worried, the old couple supported his decision and prepared him for the journey. Before setting off, Momotaro made kibidango, special millet dumplings, to take with him. He knew he would need strong companions on his journey. As he walked along the road, he first met a dog. "Where are you going, young boy?" the dog asked. "I am going to defeat the Oni," Momotaro replied. "If you give me one of those delicious-looking dumplings, I will join you," said the dog. Momotaro happily gave the dog a kibidango, and the dog became his first companion. Next, they met a monkey. "Where are you going, young boy?" the monkey asked. "I am going to defeat the Oni," Momotaro said again. "If you give me one of those dumplings, I will help you," the monkey said. Momotaro shared another kibidango, and the monkey joined them. Finally, they met a pheasant. Hearing about the journey, the pheasant flapped its wings and said, "I, too, will fight alongside you if you give me a dumpling." And so, with his 3 loyal companions, a dog, a monkey, and a pheasant, Momotaro sailed toward the Oni's island. When they arrived, the Oni were waiting, their enormous bodies towering over the heroes. But Momotaro and his friends stood firm. "Let's fight together," Momotaro called out, and the battle began. The dog bit the Oni's legs, the monkey jumped onto their heads, and the pheasant attacked from the sky. Momotaro himself fought bravely, using all his strength. The Oni, caught off guard by their teamwork, were soon overwhelmed. At last, the Oni surrendered. "We are sorry. We will never trouble the village again," they cried. Momotaro and his companions gathered the stolen treasures and returned to the village in triumph. The villagers cheered, and the old couple embraced Momotaro tightly. That evening, a great feast was held in celebration. Everyone enjoyed delicious food, including plenty of kibidango. Laughter and joy filled the air. From that day on, Momotaro lived peacefully with the old couple, sometimes visiting the Oni's island as friends rather than enemies. The village remained safe and happy, and the old couple spent the rest of their days watching over their beloved son. And so, Momotaro's adventure came to an end, but the bonds of friendship, love, and courage he had forged remained forever. As the night deepened, the village fell into a peaceful slumber, wrapped in warmth and happiness. The end. Urashima Taro. Once upon a time, in a quiet village, there lived a kind fisherman named Urashima Taro. Every day, he would go out to the sea to catch fish and share the fresh catch with the villagers. Taro loved the sea, and he spent his days happily, always listening to the sound of the waves. One day, while fishing as usual, Taro noticed a small turtle struggling on the shore. He immediately helped the turtle and returned it to the sea. The turtle expressed its gratitude and said, "One day, I will repay you," before disappearing into the water. A few days later, while Taro was fishing as usual, a beautiful light suddenly shone from the sea. Curious, he approached, and the turtle he had saved appeared before him. This time, the turtle had transformed into a beautiful woman. She said, "I am the princess of the dragon palace under the sea. I have come to repay you. Please come with me to the dragon palace." Taro was surprised, but his curiosity grew. The dragon palace? I wonder what kind of place that is, he thought as he followed the princess into the sea. He could breathe underwater and felt as though he was in the air. Eventually, they reached the beautiful dragon palace. The palace was adorned with coral and shells, and colorful fish swam around. Taro's eyes sparkled, and it felt like he was in a dream world. The princess guided him inside the palace, where a grand feast was held. The sea creatures gathered to welcome him with music and dancing. Taro enjoyed his days in the dragon palace. He became friends with the sea creatures and spent many happy moments with the princess. However, over time, he began to worry about his village. He wondered if the villagers were thinking of him and whether his family was worried about him. One day, Taro said to the princess, "I can't stop thinking about my village. I want to go back." The princess looked a little sad but said, "If that's your wish, I will grant it." She handed him a box and said, "Take this with you, but never open it. Whenever you return to your village, remember me." Taro was filled with gratitude and said goodbye to the princess. He rode the turtle across the sea and safely returned to the village. However, when he arrived, the familiar scene was no longer there. The village had completely changed, and the villagers had aged over the years. No one remembered him. Surrounded by shock and sadness, Taro stared at the box the princess had given him. Perhaps opening this will reveal something, he thought, and he finally opened the box. A puff of white smoke rose, and he suddenly became old. Taro was shocked, and regret overwhelmed him. "I shouldn't have opened it." He closed the box and looked out at the sea again. The gentle sound of the waves filled the air, and he felt the princess's smile from afar. He felt at peace and whispered in his heart, "Princess, I will never forget you." Then, Taro quietly settled in a corner of the village and fell into a deep sleep. That night, in his dreams, the beautiful dragon palace spread before him, and he was once again able to spend joyful moments with the princess. Surrounded by the gentle light and the soothing sound of the waves, he continued to sleep peacefully in his happy dream forever. The end. The Grateful Crane. Once upon a time, in a quiet village deep in the mountains, there lived a man named Taro. Though he was poor, Taro was a kind-hearted man. Every day, he worked in the fields, growing a small amount of crops, while helping and cooperating with the villagers. One cold winter day, while working in the fields, Taro looked up at the sky. Amid the falling snow, he noticed something descending from the sky. It was a crane. Perhaps it had injured its wings, as it had fallen to the ground. Taro rushed over to the crane and gently picked it up. "Are you all right? Rest here and don't worry," he said. Taro brought the crane home and made a warm place for it. Every day, he prepared food for the crane and took care of it until its injuries healed. Gradually, the crane regained its strength and was eventually able to fly again. One day, the crane expressed its gratitude to Taro. "I am a crane spirit. You saved my life, and I want to repay you. Although I cannot offer much, there is one thing I can do." Saying this, the crane flew up into the sky and then landed back in front of Taro. "I will weave a wonderful cloth for you, just for tonight. By tomorrow morning, a beautiful cloth will be ready." Taro was surprised, but he accepted the crane's offer. "In that case, I would be very grateful." That night, Taro fell asleep quietly while listening to the sound of the crane weaving. In the morning, Taro awoke to an astonishing sight. Beautiful, silken cloth was spread out before him. He picked up the cloth, moved with emotion. "This is wonderful. If I sell this, my life will be a little easier," he thought. Taro took the cloth to the village, where the villagers immediately admired it. He sold the cloth and used the money to buy food and other necessities, living more comfortably for a while. A few days later, the crane visited again. "Are you taking good care of the cloth I wove for you?" it asked. Taro nodded. "Of course, it has been a great help to me." "Then, let me weave more cloth for you," the crane said. Once again, it wove through the night, and by morning, another beautiful cloth was ready. Taro took it to the village, where he was able to sell it for an even better price. As time passed, Taro became gradually wealthier thanks to the crane's woven cloth. However, he soon became complacent with his success and began to rely entirely on the crane's cloth. Whenever the crane arrived, Taro would ask for more, and his demands grew increasingly unreasonable. One day, the crane said to Taro, "Please, I can't do any more. I will be exhausted if I keep this up." Taro ignored its plea and insisted, "Weave even more beautiful cloth for me." The crane lowered its head sadly. "I will no longer weave. Please look at my true form." With those words, the crane shed its feathers and transformed into a human before Taro's eyes. Taro was astonished and deeply regretful. "Have I hurt you?" The crane smiled gently. "It was you who saved me. But because you have relied too much on my power, I can no longer stay." With that, the crane turned its back and quietly left the village. Taro watched it go, deeply regretting that his greed had led to the crane's departure. From then on, Taro carried the crane's lesson in his heart and learned the importance of compassion and mutual help. He decided to work hard on his own and live peacefully, helping others and cooperating with the villagers. As night fell and the stars spread across the sky, Taro quietly lay down. He remembered the crane and whispered thank you with gratitude in his heart. At that moment, a soft rustle of feathers could be heard outside the window, and a warm feeling spread through his heart. Taro fell asleep peacefully, knowing that the crane's gift was not just material wealth, but the richness of the heart and the importance of connections with others. The end. The Tale of the Bamboo Cutter. Once upon a time, deep in the mountains of far-off Japan, there was a beautiful forest filled with bamboo. In that forest lived an elderly bamboo cutter. Every day, the old man would cut bamboo and use it to make various tools and household items. One day, as usual, the bamboo cutter went into the forest to cut bamboo and came across a special bamboo stalk that glowed brightly. It was unlike any other bamboo, emitting a soft, moonlight-like glow. Intrigued by this bamboo, the old man decided to carefully cut it. To his astonishment, as he cut the bamboo open, a tiny princess appeared. The princess was incredibly beautiful, as if she had descended from the moon. Despite his surprise, the old man decided to take her home. He named her Kagaya and raised her with great care. Kagaya was not only extraordinarily beautiful but also incredibly wise. She spent her days happily in the bamboo cutter's home, loved by the old man and his wife. The villagers marveled at her beauty, and her fame spread far and wide. As time passed, word of Kagaya beauty reached the people across the land, and many noble suitors came to ask for her hand in marriage. However, Kagaya remained aloof, never opening her heart to any of them. She was hiding a secret. One evening, Kagaya spoke to the bamboo cutter. "I am destined to return to the moon's world," she said. The old man was stunned and deeply saddened, but he decided to respect her resolve. Soon, messengers from the moon came to take Kagaya back. After bidding a quiet farewell to the bamboo cutter, she left for the moon. The old man, tears in his eyes, watched until she disappeared from sight. Afterward, the bamboo cutter continued to cut bamboo, but the memory of Kagaya shone brightly in his heart. On moonlit nights, he would remember her beauty and quietly fall asleep. The moon continued to shine brightly in the sky, and the bamboo forest remained peaceful and still. In his dreams, the bamboo cutter would meet Kagaya again, and her gentle smile would warm his heart. From then on, the bamboo cutter lived a peaceful life, always remembering Kagaya. The story of their meeting and parting remained vividly in his heart, never to be forgotten. Thus, the Take Torai Monogatari was passed down through generations, and the image of Kagaya living happily under the moonlight remains alive in the hearts of the people. As a way to guide one into sleep, we now imagine this story, traveling peacefully into a dream world. The Monkey and the Crab. Once upon a time, at the foot of a peaceful mountain, there was a small village. The village was surrounded by rich nature, and the villagers lived harmoniously. The area around the village was known for its beautiful, colorful flowers and bountiful fruit, especially delicious persimmons. One day, a monkey living in the nearby forest discovered some ripe persimmons grown by the villagers. "These look delicious. I think I'll take one," the monkey thought. The monkey climbed down from a tree and reached for the fruit. Meanwhile, a crab lived by the river in the village. The crab often spent time lazily in the water, sometimes searching for food left behind by the villagers. One day, the crab noticed the red persimmons reflected on the river's surface. "What's that? It must be something delicious," the crab thought, and made its way toward the forest. Both the monkey and the crab were heading toward the same persimmons. However, the monkey was quick to climb the tree, while the crab took longer to crawl up. The monkey reached the top first and grabbed the persimmons. "These are mine," the monkey declared proudly. The crab arrived at the base of the tree, looking up at the monkey eating the persimmons, and felt frustrated. "I wanted those too," the crab lamented. The monkey heard this and laughed, saying, "You can't reach them. Someone like you can never beat someone like me." Feeling humiliated, the crab thought to itself, "If the monkey looks down on me, I'll come up with a plan." The crab then called for its fellow crabs. "Let's all work together to get the persimmons back from the monkey." The crabs united in their plan. The monkey, seeing them gathering, mocked them even more. "You crabs could never beat me. You can't do anything," it scoffed. But the crabs didn't give up and continued planning. They first gathered around the tree to lure the monkey away. One of the crabs shouted, "Monkey, come here. We've got even tastier food." The monkey, curious, left the persimmons and followed the sound toward the river. Taking advantage of the opportunity, the crabs quickly grabbed the persimmons and carried them away. When the monkey returned, it found the persimmons gone. "What? Where are my persimmons?" the monkey exclaimed, frantically searching around. The crabs were laughing by the riverbank. "Monkey, this is our cleverness. You can't win just by strength alone," they proudly declared. The monkey, blushing with embarrassment, was impressed by the crab's cleverness. "Well, you guys did well. How about we be friends now?" the monkey suggested. The crabs paused to think, but noticing the change in the monkey's attitude, one of them said, "In that case, how about we search for fruit together?" Thus, the monkey and the crabs decided to work together in their search for fruit. The monkey would find fruit high up in the trees, while the crabs would search the ground for hidden fruit. By combining their talents, they collected a lot of fruit. When they returned to the villagers were surprised to see the monkey and the crabs together, happily carrying fruit. "Why are the monkey and the crabs together?" they wondered. But the monkey and the crabs had promised each other to value their friendship from then on. From that day on, the monkey and the crabs went out every day to search for fruit, sharing what they found with the villagers. The village grew even more prosperous, and the story of the monkey and the crab's friendship was passed down among the villagers. Thus, the monkey and the crabs lived happily, helping each other and working together. People remembered this story and learned the importance of coexisting with others. As night fell, the village became peaceful, with stars shining brightly in the sky. The monkey and the crabs fell asleep in their homes, dreaming of more fun adventures to come. Good night. Snow White. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a beautiful princess named Snow White. Her skin was as white as snow, her hair as black as the night sky, and her lips as red as a rose. Snow White was known for her beauty and loved by many, but her heart was very kind, and she loved talking to animals and flowers. Snow White's mother passed away when she was born, and her father, the king, remarried. However, his new wife was a jealous queen obsessed with beauty. The queen had a magic mirror and would ask it every day, "Mirror, mirror, on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror always replied, "You are the fairest, your majesty." The queen was pleased with this answer, but one day, the mirror said, "Snow White is more beautiful than you." Hearing this, the queen was overcome with intense jealousy. She decided to eliminate Snow White and ordered a hunter to take her deep into the forest and end her life. However, the hunter was moved by Snow White's innocent smile and couldn't bring himself to hurt her. He set her free in the forest. Lost in the deep forest, Snow White wandered, feeling fear but also finding comfort in the beauty of nature. Tall trees stood all around her, colorful flowers bloomed, birds sang, and the wind gently blew. As she walked, she came across a small house. The house was small and charming, and Snow White, curious, peeked inside. There, she found 7 dwarfs who lived there. Each dwarf had a different personality, and they spent their days happily. Snow White was drawn to their kindness, and they invited her to stay with them. The dwarfs warmly welcomed her and said, "Come live here with us." Snow White spent joyful days with the dwarfs. Every morning, she would sing songs, clean the house, cook, and prepare delicious meals for them. The dwarfs, grateful for her beauty and kindness, would talk and dance together after their work. But the queen learned that Snow White was still alive and set out to find her again. Disguised, the queen arrived at Snow White's cottage and offered her a poisoned apple. "Princess, try this," she said, presenting the apple. Snow White took a bite and instantly fell unconscious, collapsing to the ground. When the dwarfs returned home and found Snow White lying motionless, they were shocked. "Snow White! What happened?" they cried, lifting her in their arms, deeply concerned. But no matter how hard they tried, she didn't wake up. They were filled with sorrow and placed her in a beautiful glass coffin, laying her to rest in the forest. Days passed, and Snow White remained in a peaceful, eternal sleep. One day, a prince from a distant land was walking through the forest and became captivated by Snow White's beauty. Upon seeing her, he felt a deep love for her. The prince gently kissed Snow White on the cheek, and in that moment, Snow White awoke. She looked at the prince and smiled. The dwarfs were filled with surprise and joy. The prince and Snow White pledged their love for each other and lived happily ever after. The queen, realizing the tragedy caused by her jealousy, decided to repent. Snow White and the prince married, and the kingdom was once again filled with happiness. They believed in the power of love, friendship, and bonds, vowing to face any challenge together. The dwarfs, who had always watched over their love, shared many joyful days with them. And so, Snow White found true love and lived happily ever after. Her kindness and beauty were forever remembered, and the animals and flowers of the forest celebrated her happiness. Amidst the dreamlike days, Snow White fell into a peaceful sleep and embraced a joyful future. And the story quietly came to an end. Good night. Isenbashi. Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a boy named Isenbashi, who had a special power. He was only 1 inch tall, about 3 centimeters, but his small body was filled with great courage and wisdom. The villagers loved him, knowing that a mysterious power resided within his tiny form. Every day, Isenbashi wandered around the village, helping people in need. With his little hands, he tended to crops, played with the children, and sometimes even fought off the village monsters, ensuring the peace of the village. However, Isenbashi had one dream: to become a great samurai. One day, Isenbashi decided to embark on a journey. He set off toward a distant castle on the other side of the mountains, intending to take on the trials required to become a samurai. With a small leaf-made backpack on his back, he began his journey. Along the way, Isenbashi encountered various adventures. The first encounter was with a family of birds in trouble. Baby birds had fallen from their nest and couldn't get back. Isenbashi, using his small size, helped them by guiding them back to their nest with a branch. The parent bird, filled with gratitude, said to him, "Your courage is remarkable. You will surely succeed." Next, Isenbashi wandered into a large forest and became lost on a wide road when suddenly, a giant dragon appeared. The dragon looked terrifying, but Isenbashi was not afraid. He spoke to the dragon, "What do you seek?" Surprised, the dragon replied, "I am lonely and have been longing to speak to someone." Isenbashi befriended the dragon, listening to its story. The dragon opened up and shared valuable wisdom with him. Finally, Isenbashi reached the castle, where he was to undergo the samurai trials. Inside the castle, many samurai looked down on him. But Isenbashi believed in his abilities and accepted the challenge. Using his wisdom, he solved difficult problems and successfully completed the trials. The villagers were proud of him, and he was recognized as a great samurai. Even after gaining fame as a samurai, Isenbashi returned to his village, continuing to help the villagers. His small body contained great strength and courage, which made him a special person. His adventures were passed down to the village children, and everyone came to believe that, like him, they too could face challenges with courage. At night, Isenbashi looked up at the stars and thanked himself for fulfilling his dream. His story became a symbol of peace and hope in the village, remaining in the hearts of the people for generations. Afterward, Isenbashi lived happily with the villagers, his heart always filled with courage and kindness. The villagers felt the warmth of his heart. Thus, Isenbashi's story teaches us the importance of pursuing our dreams and the greatness of facing challenges with courage. Even someone small can have a big heart, just like him. Good night. May your dreams be filled with the courage and kindness of Isenbashi. Casa Jaizo. Once upon a time, in a quiet village, there lived a kind-hearted old man. The old man lived a peaceful life, walking around the rice fields and mountains surrounding the village every day. He was called Casa Jaizo by everyone. Casa Jaizo wore an old straw hat, and he always cherished it. One day, while on his walk, Casa Jaizo came across a little girl crying by the roadside. The girl had lost the precious umbrella her mother had given her, as it had been blown away by the wind when it started to rain. Casa Jaizo's heart ached, and he gently asked the girl, "What happened?" The girl wiped her tears and spoke, "The umbrella my mother gave me was blown away by the wind. I may never find it again." Kasajizo made up his mind. "I will find that umbrella for you." Saying this, Kasajizo and the girl went into the forest together. As the rain poured down, they searched for the umbrella. Deep in the forest, they saw something shining. It was an umbrella they had seen before. "This is it," the girl shouted. However, the umbrella was caught in the branches of a large tree. Kasajizo told the girl, "Wait here for a moment," and approached the tree. With gentle hands, he carefully grabbed the umbrella and pulled it free from the branches. The girl, now holding the umbrella, smiled happily. "Thank you, Kasajizo." Seeing her smile, Kasajizo's heart warmed. On their way back to the village, Kasajizo handed the umbrella to the girl. "Now you can be safe on rainy days." The girl hugged the umbrella tightly and said, "I'll come to see you again," before running off toward her home. Afterward, Kasajizo returned to his usual life in the village. However, the girl's smile stayed with him in his heart. He felt happy knowing he had been able to help someone. One night, as Kasajizo lay down to sleep, he had a strange dream. In the dream, he was flying through the sky with the little girl, holding colorful umbrellas. Laughing, they flew freely through the blue sky and white clouds. When he woke up, Kasajizo thought about the dream. That girl must have become happy, he thought, and then prepared to go on his walk again. Every day, Kasajizo met and talked with the villagers. His kindness spread throughout the village, and everyone began to cherish him. Kasajizo always greeted people with a smile, and whenever someone was in trouble, he would lend a helping hand. One day, a great storm hit the village. The wind howled, and the rain poured down heavily, leaving the villagers full of worry. Kasajizo visited the houses, calling out, "It's okay, let's help each other." That night, Kasajizo invited many people into his home. They gathered together, shared warm meals, and waited for the storm to pass. The house was filled with laughter, and thanks to Kasajizo, everyone was able to spend the night with a little more peace of mind. The next morning, after the storm had passed, the villagers went outside to check the damage. Fortunately, there was no significant damage. The villagers expressed their gratitude to Kasajizo. "Thanks to you, we got through this together." With a gentle smile, Kasajizo replied, "It's important to support each other." He decided that he would continue to do what he could for the people around him. From that day on, Kasajizo became a special presence in the hearts of the villagers. His kindness and compassion continued to brighten the village. No matter what difficulties came their way, the villagers believed they could overcome them by helping and supporting each other, just like Kasajizo. As time passed, Kasajizo grew old, but his heart remained as youthful as ever. He continued to tell stories to the village children, teaching them and giving them love. Every time the children listened to his tales, they remembered his kindness. Eventually, the day came when Kasajizo was called to the heavens. The villagers gathered to bid him farewell, and with gratitude in their hearts, they said, "Kasajizo, your kindness will live forever in our hearts." The village was filled with sorrow, but at the same time, they promised to carry on his teachings and follow in his footsteps. The smiles and warmth Kasajizo had left behind would live on in the hearts of the villagers. That night, the stars shone brightly in the sky, as if Kasajizo was gently watching over them. The village children looked up at the stars and whispered, "Kasajizo, we want to be kind too." From then on, the villagers, carrying Kasajizo's teachings in their hearts, decided to live kindly, helping and supporting each other, just as he had done. Good night. May Kasajizo's kindness reach your heart as well. The Mouse's Wedding. Once upon a time, deep in a quiet forest, there was a small village. The village was full of colorful flowers, and gentle winds would blow through it. At the center of the village stood a grand old oak tree, which served as a resting place for the villagers. In this village, there lived a special family of mice. Father Mouse Nini, Mother Mouse Leary, and their two children, Momo and Chew. Momo was bright and energetic, while Chew was a bit shy. The two of them always played together and loved exploring the village surroundings. One day, Momo and Chew asked their mother Leary, "Hey, Mom. When we grow up, what kind of family do we want to make?" Leary smiled and said, "Well, if you want to have a wonderful family, the first thing you need to do is find a wonderful partner." Upon hearing those words, Momo secretly thought to herself, "I want to find a wonderful partner too." Chew shared the same thought but was too shy to say it out loud. As time passed, and when Momo had grown a little older, it was announced that a mouse's wedding would take place in the village. The village mice would gather for a grand event to choose the most wonderful bride. Momo decided to take part in this event, her heart filled with excitement. "I wonder what kind of bride I'll meet." Momo thought eagerly as she began preparing. She wore a cute dress, placed a flower crown on her head, and as she looked at herself in the mirror, her heart raced with anticipation. On the day of the event, the village was adorned beautifully, and the mice gathered. The square was decorated with colorful flowers, and various kinds of mice were there, accompanied by lively music. Momo danced cheerfully, searching for her destined partner in her heart. Then, from a little distance, Momo noticed a beautiful mouse wearing a flower crown. Her name was Mimi. Mimi danced gracefully, captivating the other mice around her. Momo couldn't help but admire her, and her heart skipped a beat. Gathering her courage, Momo approached Mimi. "Hello, I'm Momo. Your dance is wonderful." Mimi smiled warmly and replied, "Thank you, Momo. Your dress is lovely too." The two immediately hit it off, dancing and chatting together. As time passed, Momo found herself falling in love with Mimi. She was captivated by her smile and kind words. As evening approached, the village elder arrived and declared, "Tonight, it's time to choose the most wonderful couple." Momo nervously held Mimi's hand tightly. The elder looked at Momo and Mimi, smiling brightly. "These two are the perfect couple. They care for each other, and it's clear they love each other. Therefore, I present this special flower crown to Momo and Mimi." Applause rang out from the entire village, and Momo and Mimi were filled with joy. They held each other's hands tightly, promising to walk through life together from that moment on. Afterward, Momo and Mimi spent more time together, enjoying various adventures around the village. Sometimes they explored the forest or made sweets together. Their bond grew deeper and deeper. Months later, Momo and Mimi finally held their wedding. All the mice in the village gathered for the heartwarming ceremony. Momo wore a beautiful dress, and Mimi donned a lovely flower crown, both wearing smiles of happiness. After the wedding, Momo and Mimi lived happily ever after. They supported each other and loved one another, creating a wonderful family. Momo and Chu's dream of building a lovely family had come true. Thus, the story of Momo and Mimi was passed down through generations in the deep forest. The mice of the village continued to celebrate their happiness, watching over their love. And as night fell and the stars filled the sky, Momo and Mimi snuggled close, beginning new adventures together in their dreams. The end.